Brandon, welcome back to the Missoula podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I was looking through some of the stats online about our podcast and listenership and demographics. And we're not just in Missoula or even the United States. The second largest following we have is a country on the other side of the pond in Central Europe, Germany.
Are you serious?
Seriously, like
How did
2%,
somebody find
2% of our listenership is in Germany.
How did somebody find our, who are you?
Hey, if you're listening in Germany right now, shoot us an email, text. Like, I want to come to Germany and do an episode live from Berlin
That's amazing.
Yeah. What do you know about Germany?
Nothing.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know very little.
Yeah.
I know the wall came down.
Mhm.
There was East Germany, West Germany. I know that back in the day, the Montana Club restaurant on Brooks in Missoula was a German restaurant called the Heidel House.
Ah, yes. There's some
It was
Missoula history for
very,
it.
very German. The only thing I remember about that, like I was a kid, they had a big aquarium with a huge fish. That's all I wanted to see when I went there. But
Well, maybe
yeah.
maybe somebody that enjoyed that restaurant long, long ago moved to Germany and now they're checking out
Who
the
knows?
Missoula
Listen to
podcast.
us. But yeah, how was your weekend?
It was good, man.
Good.
And for everybody listening today, this rain is nuts.
It has been wild. I heard this rain is a byproduct of the hurricane that hit California.
Yeah.
Where the effects are
So
here.
our already short summers are getting cut short a little bit more.
I don't remember rain like this in August.
Never.
Long time.
Nice. It's nice.
Pretty cool. We needed it.
Yeah. Everybody says that.
Oh,
You're like an old man.
We needed this
Every old
rain.
man. I'm excited for today's guest. It was a good one.
He's great.
Great transformation.
Life transformation, foundation. Those rhyme. Transformation, foundation. Gary Schild, who ironically you and I have both known for years, but through different avenues. And yeah, great conversation about his life, his transformation, his foundation.
And it's cool to see what he's doing in the community in helping young men and fathers. So this will be a really fun one. I bet a lot of Missoula listeners will have rubbed elbows, rubbed shoulders. Which one is it? Yep.
Both.
They've
rubbed
with Gary, at some point. So check out the podcast. We're so thankful that you're listening. Please continue to follow, like, subscribe to all the videos, share. It really does do a lot for the reach of this podcast and gets us more guests and better guests.
All the way to Germany.
All the way.
Message being heard. So a great conversation with Gary. Take a listen.
Gary Schild, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
This is probably a mistake on our podcast, but I believe you're the first fisherman that we've had. And being the Missoula podcast, we probably should have had a few more before then. But tell me a little bit how you got started as a fly fisherman and a little bit about what that's like in your life today.
Sure. So I've literally spent my whole life fly fishing. I grew up the Rattlesnake. Had no idea how to do it. I remember when I was about 10 years old, I had my stepdad take me down to, I think it was Bob Ward's. And the guy showed me how to tie my line on, what I need to do. So set me up with like a $15 setup. And I used to walk down to Rattlesnake Creek, and it probably took me 10 times out there to catch a fish. But once I figured it out, it was nonstop ever since. It's just been a great way for me to escape life for just a couple hours, 2 or 3 times a week. So it's just awesome. It's a lot less about catching fish, a lot more about just spending time out there on the streams. So,
and go ahead.
Well, I'll say, Gary, you wouldn't know this, but I have an ongoing list of, I'm born and raised right here in Missoula. I've been here for my entire life. I have a list of outdoor activities I have never done in Missoula and Stevensware. I have never fly fished.
Oh, yeah.
Ever. And river runs through it. I hear it all the time. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
So hearing you got 10 years old, just go out and start catching fish. It's like, what?
Yeah.
And Gary's not like one of those average fly fishermen. You tie your own flies, right? You got the whole setup.
Yeah, I spend all winter tying flies, and it's cool. I mean, there's something really cool about catching a fish on something you tied from a piece of fur that somebody gave you, or some feathers that you found out in the yard. and being able to tie that to a hook and figure out how to make it look like a bug and then fool a fish with it. So
So if you're talking to Brandon about how to get into fly fishing, where does he start? Does he just go down to Bob Ward's and get a $10 setup, or what would you recommend
I
him doing?
I think, and nowadays, back when I was a kid, yes. Nowadays, I think YouTube is
I was
just got to
just
be
gonna
your
say
friend. I mean, you just
YouTube.
start with YouTube and work your way up. I mean, and then got to get out there, trial and error, and you got to get through the frustration of catching the back of the trees and stuff like that.
Well,
So,
there you go.
but
You're going to be on
Sounds good.
YouTube after this.
Hey,
Well, Gary, I'm excited to have you on the show. I've known you for a couple of years. I met you 5, 6 years ago when it sounded like you were in the beginning stages of a transformation in your life. So can you speak a little bit to what that turning point was and how it happened, and a little bit about where you are today?
sure, sure. So I originally met you through Toastmasters.
Mhm.
Had to be 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. And that was kind of a point in my life where I had made some big changes in my life. I had spent 15 years before that just spending too much time drinking and hanging with friends and not being responsible to my family. And there was a point in my life where I just decided that I was going to stop drinking. I had gotten up to 340 pounds, and
Whoa.
so I'm down to almost 240. So I lost almost 100 pounds.
Jeez.
good for you.
My doctor, I couldn't feel my feet, so I went to the doctor, and she said, "You're never going to make it to be 60 years old if you keep." My liver numbers were terrible. My getting home numbers were terrible. I was out all night with friends that I played hockey with and softball with. And on New Year's, I just decided to quit drinking altogether, which it was really scary at the time because I had spent from the time I was about 18 all the way to the time I was whatever it was, 48, um, drinking beer after work, and the thought of never having another beer was really weird. And
Mm.
so I remember on that New Year's, I drank about 10 cold smokes, and I said, and just blitzed at New Year's. And I threw them in the garbage, and I've never had a drink of alcohol since. It's going to be 5 years this January. So, and from there,
Wow.
it's just this, like this transformation in myself that I didn't see coming because I saw it as something that was going to be really hard and terrible. And it ended up being something that was truthfully really easy. And I know that for a lot of people that's not the case, but for me it was really easy. And I decided at that point to conquer some of my fears, which is public speaking was one of them. So I joined Toastmasters, and you were there the first time I came up to the podium, and I was pretty sure my legs weren't going to hold me up.
Yeah, just for the audience, Toastmasters is a public speaking organization. A lot of normal everyday people get into it to basically become more proficient speakers. But for Gary and I, it was to overcome the overwhelming, terrifying feeling of standing in front of people. And he was right. When he got up, he was shaking so bad, I thought we were gonna have to call
Yeah,
call 911
I
because
thought
he
so
was
too.
shaking so bad.
I thought so too. And no, I spent that's a real one of the real bummers is that I spent my entire life all the missed opportunities that I had by being scared. I mean, like this, I 6 years ago, there is no way. I mean, I find every excuse in the book to come in and avoid coming in here having to do this. And I just think of all the opportunities I missed out by not taking those chances. And Toastmasters was the big first step for me with that.
Couple questions for you, Gary. One, do you miss the alcohol at all? Do you ever moments where you're like, I wish? Like, is that still a struggle for you
It's
at
not.
times?
It's not, and I know for a lot of people it is, but for
Yeah.
whatever reason, I got away from it. Maybe the first week felt really weird, and what happened is, I lived for so long with this kind of like this daze, and I didn't even see it, but I was like in a haze every day because I go after work and meet friends, and then I grab a six pack and go home, and I was up all night watching TV, and then instead of going to the gym, I was going to the McDonald's drive-through,
Yeah.
and I don't miss any of that. I don't miss feeling crappy.
So you don't miss the drinking? Do you miss the lifestyle? The late nights with friends, hanging out?
I still, I've been pretty good about still making sure that I still check in
Still
with those
connect.
people. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because I still go back to a few of the haunts. I mean, maybe once every 2 months I'll stop in and play $20 in one of the Keno machines and see all my old friends. And a lot of them are still in the same spot. And part of me wants to
Yeah.
be like, you guys
It
you
it's
don't see what
better.
it's
Yeah.
like on the outside of that.
Yeah. And then on the public speaking side, would you say you now enjoy and love public speaking?
I would say that I fight through it, but it's giving me I did enjoy what it feels like afterward.
Okay.
I still, I still get a little nervous. I mean, I was nervous this week thinking about doing this, and I get nervous when I have to do a presentation. So I wouldn't say that I enjoyed it, but I would love to get to the place that I actually do enjoy it. And I feel like I'm getting closer to that.
I mean, that's amazing. All three of those areas, huge life change. I mean, overcoming all three of those, whether it's our diet and what we're putting into our body, the circle we're associated with, or even our greatest fears. Like most people tackle those one at a time.
Right.
For
Right.
you to just go all in and just completely change your life, and then to see you here today and where you are and down 100 pounds and
Yeah.
clear mind, just amazing. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Oh,
Gary,
thanks,
Gary,
man.
was the alcohol like 18 to 48, like 20 years? No, that's 30 years.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not very good at math.
It's common core.
Common
Yeah.
core.
Were you just drinking because that was part of the lifestyle here in Missoula and that's what your friends did? Or was it more of, hey, I'm covering up, I'm getting kind of a little personal
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm covering up some insecurity or some pain in my past. What did you find was more of the thing that you were engaging in, that abuse, I guess you would call it?
Yeah, I don't I think it was. I mean, I think there was I didn't have much of a dad growing up when I was growing up, so I do think a lot of it was kind of that. I felt like I was hiding from other things. I mean, it's easy to hide from your problems by just going to the bar after work and hanging with your friends and being part of that. And so that is one of the struggles that I kind of faced coming out of
Mm,
that haze, is because it then you have to kind of face some of that stuff a little bit. And you have to be more responsible because you don't have that to hide behind. So,
yeah,
um, I think it was a combination of both. I mean, what I come to understand afterwards, though, is that it, I think that people that are stuck in that mode, they don't see what it's like. That's not normal. You know what I mean? That's
sure.
not what everybody's doing, because you feel like that's what everybody's doing when you're in it. And when you get outside of it and see, you want to tell some. I mean, I've got some friends that I just know their life would be more full and better if they would, maybe they don't even need to quit altogether. I was a person, for a couple years I tried to just drink less. I'm just not good at that.
Right.
I'm really good at doing something all the way.
You're all or
I'm
nothing.
all or nothing. So since it was nothing, it was easy. If it was something more like I'm just going to drink on Wednesdays, it would have been Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday before I knew it.
Right.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
or
you just
nothing with
fall
me.
back
Yep,
into it. It was
yep,
habitual.
yep.
And tell us a little bit about the journey into fitness. What was that like? Because you basically started from zero, right?
Well, no, you know what? I didn't start from 0. I have been going to the gym. I've been going to the gym for years and years, but it was just I didn't push myself, you know what I mean? I would show up maybe once or twice a week. Um, but once I stopped drinking, what happened to me is I got all this extra energy, and I'm like, I'm gonna focus this
Mm,
on making my body more fit, on being able to do some things that I never thought I'd do, like this backpacking trip this weekend. 340 pounds. There's no way I get to that
sure.
bottom of that lake and see those places. So it was just what
200 pounds. There's no way I get to the bottom of the
yeah,
lake and see those
yeah,
places.
yeah.
Sounded brutal.
So it was just it's just a combination of all that. And then it just seems like once I started pushing myself and losing weight, and then I felt more motivated. And um I didn't really see the changes in my life, but the one thing I knew I needed to do was lose weight and quit drinking. So that I started there, and it was just amazing how all this other stuff kind of progressed to the point to where I'm at today. So, and it's been an awesome 5 years. So
uh, Relationship wise, your marriage, has that improved as well over the last 5 years? Have you seen some
yeah,
growth there?
you know what? For sure. That's one of the things I was thinking about. It just wasn't, and I know that a lot of people are caught in this trap, but it wasn't fair. I wasn't being fair to, first of all, my ex-wife,
Mm,
who I'm still great friends with,
mhm.
and I wasn't being fair to my current wife either. I
Yeah,
mean, she, she would be sitting waiting up at 12:30 at night when I got off at 5, and I'd been sitting down there, BSing and all this stuff, and drinking, and then driving home after drinking, and she's just constantly worried about where I'm at, and people are caught in that trap. And it's just amazing that she even stuck around, quite honestly, because
mm,
she was dealing with that 4 nights a week. You know what I mean? And wondering where I'm at, wondering what I'm up to, wondering whether I'm gonna kill somebody on the way home. But when you're caught in that, you kind of think about that, but you really, I mean, 4 beers in, you don't think about that.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
looking back now, I'm like, I can't believe some of the stuff that I've done. And I just know that, that's commonplace. That's not something that um, isn't unfamiliar to a lot of people. So
Certainly here in Missoula, we got this awesome culture, of craft beer and
yeah,
laid back, easygoing people. There is a lot of people that don't understand, you know, it can be better.
yeah,
And I'm not anti-alcohol or anything like that,
yeah,
but, when it gets to a point, you can see that it can be a quite a big problem in your family and your fitness and
yeah.
in your career, et cetera, et cetera. And then there was a transition in some work stuff as well, but you also were able to start a passion project of yours as well. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
The casting shadows.
Yeah, Casting Shadows.
Yeah. So right about that time, it was just shortly. I think it was just right about that time that I joined Toastmasters, that I stopped drinking, that I started feeling better about the way my life was going. Um, I thought I thought in my head about something that I could do to kind of give back, and maybe in my own mind, it was kind of to make up for all these years that maybe I neglected my friends and my family and all that stuff, and it's been just incredible. So I started the Casting Shadows Foundation, which the idea was to promote fatherhood through fly fishing. So um, I just I really originally what it was to promote fatherhood, and so then I started thinking of ways in my life where um, our family benefited, and the best days we had and the best memories we have were out floating the rivers with my kids and teaching them how to
Mm.
fly fish and spending time. And there's just so many kids, especially the last 10 years in Missoula, that would never get that opportunity. Um, there's a lot of people that pay for guided trips around here that you can't afford $700 or $800.
Mhm.
People are that's money to pay their bills. So I thought it would be fun to give some people that opportunity that haven't had it. First of all, to just give them a day to spend with their child, and for their child to spend the day with their dad, and just to create memories, and maybe it's something in the end where it catches on, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's just a day together out looking at eagles. And we've had grass pickers, we've had people, we've had kids, but I think we've done 50 trips in 5 years,
Wow.
something like that.
That's really cool.
Um, and they're all paid for, fully guided trips. Um, And some of those kids will probably never pick up a fly rod again. But I don't think we had a single trip where they said this wasn't worth it because they spent the day together. I'm working with some guides in town that are just great. They're dads themselves. And they know not to push. If these kids are like after 2 hours they're tired of it, well, let's go swim. This time of year, they'll go to a swimming hole, and they'll swim for an hour, they'll have lunch. So it's about spending time together. It's really not about fly fishing. Fly fishing is just kind of the vehicle that we've chosen to promote fatherhood.
That's so cool. I mean, regardless of the outcome, memories were made. They can say they've done something I've never done. Fly fish.
That's right.
What does a trip cost, and how do you raise funds
Okay. Yeah, a trip, trips
for the
have
foundation?
um COVID was really like everything else. When we started the foundation, trips were about $400. And so when I originally started this, the thought was, well, maybe let's just take some kids out fishing, and then it got kind of complicated because then, I'm not a guide, I'm not a licensed guide, I don't have the insurance and all that kind of stuff to do it. So instead of doing that, I started a nonprofit, a foundation. We raise money mostly through a chili feed that we have.
Mm.
I'm going to explore some other options as well.
Yeah.
So it's if we do 10 trips a summer, I mean, it used to be 5,000, $4,000 because it's 400 times 10. Now
Okay.
they're about $700. So about $7,000 a year I try to raise to pay for our trips, to pay for all the money. We don't have any paid. It's just Dana and I. We don't have any paid employees. We just volunteer our time. So
That's awesome.
we raise the money, we pay for the trips. The insurance is covered. The licenses are covered with the guides, and they know how to. They're better than I am about teaching kids how to fish. So
Mhm.
so that's how it works. I mean, we just keep it simple, and try to raise $6,000-7,000 a year. And Dana's really good about being like, don't be so stressed out. If something happens in a year and we only raise $3,000, then we're only going to do 6 trips. It doesn't need to be something where
Wow.
And
just
that's 6
6
more than
than you would have
could have
done.
ever
Right.
happened,
Yep.
which is
And
amazing.
the community has been just amazing. I mean, it seems like there's been times where, like during COVID, we couldn't have our chili feed. I'm like, this is going to be a terrible year. There's no way. I'd opened my mailbox and I had checked for $3,000 from somebody that I still to this day don't know who it was. Anyway, that threw us over the top and we were able to go another season. And then it seems like whenever you run up against the wall, people in the community kind of answer it.
That's
So
really cool.
it's been really cool.
Do you
It's
have
been
a
really
waiting
fun.
list of kids who want to go fishing, or where are these kids coming from? How are they finding you? How are you finding them?
We don't. We don't. It's when I started this, I wanted to keep it really simple. And there's lots of nonprofits out there that are focused on things like, well, let's see what the income is. And we've sent some dads out that clearly had plenty of income to pay for a trip like this, but they would just never really push. I'll give you an example. We do some trips in Ennis, and I was working with the principal in Ennis to find a couple of kids that he thought would be good fits. We try to find kids that are really interested in fishing and outdoors. We don't want to send somebody who just has no interest at all.
Mhm.
Sure.
And so he contacted me and he said, I've got this kid that just loves to fish, and his dad travels for work constantly. He's a higher up with, I can't remember what organization. Anyway, he's clearly got the funds, but he just wasn't making the time to get this kid out fishing. And so all we did was push on him a little bit. And the principal talked to this kid and said, well, you want to go on this trip? And I said, give me the dad's number. I'll give him a call. And he was just overwhelmed with the generosity.
Wow.
Even though he clearly could have paid for a trip like that himself. The fact that his kid was pushing for it, and they had the best day ever. And what happened in the end is the guy donated back a trip for the next kid.
Wow.
So I keep it random. I mean, during the course of the year, it's amazing how many people I run into that have kids. We do a fly tying event out there at the Outdoorsman Church, and we always run into kids out there that I'm like, this kid would be a perfect fit. And we just keep it that simple. We don't have a lot of requirements.
Mhm.
We
Mhm.
do have people that reach out to us, and a lot of times we send them on trips too. So it's a combination of things that we use. So
Well, can we I can obviously hear your passion for this, and more importantly than the fly fishing, which you love, obviously, is this connection point between a dad and their sons. And you alluded to it a little earlier. This is something that me and my boys love to do. Uh, so how, I mean, was that growing up, or when they were growing up, something that you guys just found is like kind of a safe haven for you? Like, I don't know how to talk to my sons or be a dad sometimes, but we can go fishing and be in the outdoors. Like, tell me a little bit about your experience with your sons, and how that was helpful
yeah,
for this.
and Ellie as well. I mean, I've got all three of them. I don't know if that's so much the case, but what I noticed and what I recognized the most is that there's something about being on the river, because no cell phones, right? That's one of the rules, no cell phones.
Nice.
And it's
Good one.
amazing how when you put 8 hours in the outdoors and you're having lunch together, the stuff that comes up, the conversations about life. Um, so whenever I was looking for, what's going on with you, if one of the boys had some stuff going on at school or whatever, I'd say, let's go spend the day on the raft. And how many problems you can resolve just
Mm,
spending the time together. So it really is about spending quality time, and we've got so many opportunities here to be outside,
yeah.
and so it's just a chance to do that and put it all together. So it's been really fun, and it's not a giant thing. I mean, it's not a giant thing to raise $6,000 or $7,000 a year, and I mean, I think we've changed some lives. Honestly, I know one kid, we really 4 or 5 kids. I think we've really made
Mhm.
an impact on. So
Well, as dads, I mean, Brandon, you're a dad, I'm a dad. I think we're all looking for more opportunities to have that connection with our kids that doesn't involve running around town to sports, or, you know, a lot of crazy amount of money. Like, we all want that connection, but sometimes we don't know how
right.
as dads. So you creating that for people is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's been really cool, and it's just taken off like crazy. Hey, I have more people come to me and talk about, well, my grandpa used, this is the greatest thing ever. The one thing I remember is my grandpa taking me out, or, um, it's not just fathers; it's male mentorship. So we do send some uncles, we've sent some grandpas. Um, it's just about male mentors spending time with their children, and the young ones that look up to him the most. So it's been really cool.
It's really cool. Maybe my dad will take me fly fishing one day.
Maybe we'll send you
We'll
guys.
see. That'd be awesome. If somebody wants to learn more about the foundation, what's your contact information? Website, Facebook page? Is there anything out there for?
Yep, we got a website. It's just www.castingshadowsfoundation.com.
Okay.
I'd highly recommend, though. I do keep that up. I would recommend you follow our Facebook page, because that's how I keep it up the most. I mean, I promote all of our trips. I promote our events. We've got some other events that we do some fly tying, and we took the kids from Watson's Children's Shelter out fishing this year.
Oh, fun.
That's
really
anyway,
cool.
that's the best way to keep up, and that's how you can contact me, just straight from the website or from the Facebook
Awesome.
page.
We'll make sure we'll put links to all this in the notes here of the show.
Sounds good.
Yeah, and Gary, it's so awesome to see. This is exactly what this podcast is for, is to bring people on like you that are giving back to our community, and obviously a community that's so built on being outdoors and recreational. Back to your transformation, is there any other things that have happened or outcomes that have been great based on the last 5 years? Because look at all the unbelievable things that you're doing. Is there anything that we missed that has just been a blessing in your life?
Yeah, it's a combination of everything. It's amazing how once things started going good for me, that it just rolled. I mean, I lost the weight. I didn't have. I mean, it just kind of came naturally, because I wanted to work harder. I wanted to be more fit. I wanted to do more outside things. I'm conquering this public speaking thing,
Mm-hmm.
which has been awesome.
You're doing a great job.
Work has been incredible. Just everything in my life, and my family's been incredible. So just everything in my life got better that day. And I think it all had to do with each other. I mean, it started there, and from there it just rolled.
Yeah, and imagine the ripple effect at probably your own personal finances. You're spending less in bars and Keno machines, and all of a sudden it feels like there's more income in the house, which gives you more opportunity. And
Yep.
I mean, it just changes everything.
It's changed everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's changed everything. And it started with that. I'm not sure I saw all that coming down. That stuff built on itself once I stopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't like I was like, I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to do all this. The first thing was just put the booze in the garbage and move on from that.
So if we have listeners, of course we have listeners that are in a rut, they're stuck. One piece of advice to get them out of that, what would you say to them?
Okay, that's a perfect question, because what I did is I just told myself I'm going to just, because I was telling you, I had stopped. There was periods in my life where I would just stop and drink less. But I told myself I'm going to stop drinking for 1 year, because that gave me the option to, at least in my head, that I don't have to give it up forever.
Sure.
But I knew I could do it for a year. And I also knew in my head that if I got to 6 months or 4 months, that I would never go back. But I felt like in my head I needed that out.
Mhm.
And that's where I started. And maybe that worked for somebody else. I think there's just so many options out there. I didn't reach out to AA or anything like that, and I don't think there's a problem with that. I just, for whatever reason, I just stopped, and I saw things so much more clear that I never think twice about it.
Yeah.
Don't even care about it. No.
And other people that want to conquer some crazy fear like public speaking. Obviously, Brandon, we don't have that. You don't have that fear, but I do.
Yeah.
Well, what would you say?
You both are Toastmasters guys. Like, I have not attended one Toastmasters meeting. I'm the intimidated one.
Mr.
Here.
stands in front of his hordes of people.
Yeah. He didn't need it. He's one of those lucky guys.
He's lucky
No,
guy.
he's worked hard at it.
Yeah, he has.
I know that's a huge fear to overcome as well. And maybe that's something different for our audience, like learning that instrument that they always wanted to learn, or, switching that career. What propelled you to walk into that meeting and say, I suck at speaking, I want to get better? What was that process like?
Okay, so this was right about the same time, and I had gotten an opportunity. For 2 or 3 years, I had an opportunity to speak at a conference, a workers' compensation conference, and both 2 times I turned it down. The third time, my friend Fred over in Great Falls, who was in charge of the Department of Labor stuff, and he asked if I could participate in this. And he said, "You have way too much to offer. You've done this for 25 years. You would be so perfect for this, and you've turned me down twice." He said, "Just do me a favor and go to a Toastmasters meeting," because he was a Toastmaster. And I mean, there's been 3 or 4 things, stopping the drinking, but the Toastmasters has changed my life as well. Just the people I've met in addition to the fact that I'm more confident. I mean, I used to spend if I just had to present on, say, a Zoom meeting for 10 minutes, I would spend 2 weeks where I wasn't sleeping.
Wow.
And it's just it's a crazy fear to try and overcome, but once you do it, so that's what propelled me to get in there and do it. And then a year later, I did speak for Fred at the, and there's probably 150 people there, something like
Wow.
that. So
That's
it
incredible.
was really cool. It was really cool.
Reminds me, I think it was Jerry Seinfeld talking about how the greatest fear people have is public speaking, and the second greatest fear is dying. And so people would rather be in the casket than the one giving the eulogy at a funeral.
Yeah.
Like how true
Yeah.
that is.
Yeah. And I just don't feel like I'm a guy that's ever going to completely conquer that. And I don't think I mean, I don't know if Brandon gets nervous before he has to get up, but I think most people, regardless of whether they have this fear or not, have some anxiety about getting in front of a crowd and speaking.
Oh, certainly. I mean, we do this every week, and I'm nervous every time we get up here, or
Uh-huh.
even when I talk in front of my basketball team. They're 17-year-old boys. I'm nervous every time, but you just get more comfortable with the process.
Right.
I'm human. My wife will tell you last week at a conference, I'm up in the hotel room about 45 minutes before, pacing, rehearsing, just, I don't know if it's nervousness, but anticipation, butterflies, adrenaline. Like it's, it's
Yeah. That doesn't just go away.
right.
And I think if somebody thinks they're going to walk into Toastmasters and that's ever going to go away, it's more about just building some confidence to get up there and being able to share your voice, right?
Cool. And learning how to manage it.
Learn how to manage it. Yep.
The audience doesn't know how nervous you are, how much you're sweating.
Right.
You learn how to manage it and pace yourself. And
Right.
Well, Gary, you're an awesome guest, man. What's been so impactful for me today is a guy that's a few years ahead of me in life, seeing that it's never too late to absolutely blow your life up in a good way. And so it's just been so fun to hear a little bit about your story and how much you're crushing it, your foundation, which is such a beautiful thing for our community. We got some rapid fire
should we
questions.
do this?
Yeah,
this is the new segment we're actually starting on this show.
Oh, good.
We got 5 rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Relatively rapid questions.
Uh-huh.
Question number 1, Gary, what is one of your earliest memories of Missoula?
Oh, you know what I remember, and I think you guys are both Missoula guys, but what I remember, one of my earliest memories is how in the wintertime when we would go out sledding, how terrible the air was here. And so even though things have changed, maybe not for the greatest way since COVID in Missoula, it's still not in the wintertime where the air is so thick you can cut through it because the wood smoke and the mill smoke.
Yep.
Every day, every winter, they had stage 3 air alerts.
Yeah.
Because I cough.
Yes.
Stage 3 air alerts where you couldn't get out. So I remember one of my earliest memories is just going out on a sledding hill and just having to cut through that thick smoke.
Yeah.
I mean, it was every day during the winter. So
that's great. Number 2, what is your favorite coffee shop in Missoula?
You know what? I do not have I'm not a big proponent of coffee shops.
Okay. Favorite coffee?
That would be the Mission Mountain Grog at the Town Pump in Lolo.
Yes.
99 cents.
Love it.
See, I can't promote that $7 coffee.
You're such a dad.
That
is
99 cents.
99 cents.
Yeah,
Town
Mission
Pump.
Mountain Grog.
If
Mission
it's
Mountain
hot.
Grog,
That's
Town
okay.
Pump.
How about restaurant? Do you have a favorite restaurant? And you can't say 3 hot dogs for $1 at Town Pump.
It used to be 2 chili dogs at Ole's when I was growing up. But my favorite restaurant, Dana and I love to go to Bigga Pizza.
Wow, quality.
Great call.
Just a fun one. What zip code do you live in?
59847, and I've been that since high school.
All right.
So.
This is not the Lolo podcast.
Yeah.
How did he get on the show?
How do you get through screening?
Last question for you, Gary. There's been a saying around from years, as long as I can remember, about Missoula and the weirdness. Keep Missoula weird.
Uh-huh.
What is something about Missoula that you think is just weird? Something you pick up on or see? Like for me, one of those is Big Dipper ice cream's amazing. Even in January, people will stand in line outside for 30 minutes for Big Dipper ice cream when they can go to the indoor location or get Big Dipper in any of the grocery stores. Like to me, that's a weird thing Missoulians do. But
Right.
how about you? What's something weird about Missoula that you see?
Okay. That's a little bit tougher. When you were saying that, I just thought about when you know the ever since ever since I was a kid, Dairy Queen opens on the Dairy Queen opens on Valentine's Day every year, and people was this year literally blizzard standing out there eating a blizzard. Um, Missoula's just weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can pick anything out in particular. I mean, all you got to do is spend a Saturday at the farmers market, and it's just wonderfully weird. I mean, such a variety of people.
Yeah.
So
And last question for you, Gary. What do you love most about Missoula?
I love the people, the culture, the pace. I love the outdoors, the mountains, the flowers, the rivers, and the fishing.
Yeah,
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being on with us. Casting Shadows on Facebook. Great place to find Gary. If you know anybody in your life that could really benefit from some quality time with a male figure, go check it out. He's making huge impact in our community, and we're really thankful for you, Gary.
Thanks for being here, Gary.
Yeah, you
Appreciate
bet.
you.
You bet.